The island was shattered from all the blows in Voldir and Leroy's showdown. Craters and trenches were scattered everywhere. The people had to recover from all the lost lives and destroyed lands. It would take time, but they were all dedicated. All biozones have been used dry for their energy, resulting in them returning to a natural color. The metallic body of Leroy was left in the crater, a sight to behold. Voldir lives on, slowly healing from his wounds in the battle. Time passes. "15 years have passed. Everything has been going well. Efforts to rebuild, repopulate, and expand off what has been lost was going strongly. A statue of Voldir was erected in his honor. Leroy's body and the Scarlet Pyramid project were both abandoned and now covered with vines and growth. Cap Industries is now the best funded company on the island. It was constructed over the lake in the southeastern portion of the island. The factory would develop weapons known as caps for the Cratons to be able to defend themselves if need be. Cities covered most of the island. It was a paradise to the Cratons. Voldir noticed something odd. An ominous presence was detected on the island. Leroy was definitely dead, so it was surprising to Voldir. He kept his guard up regardless. Suddenly, the ground started to shake. The volcano was no longer resting. It started to erupt, cracking through the volcanic thermal reactor lodged on top of it. Lava gushed out, pouring rivers throughout the island. They should have been more prepared, but the people on the island were caught off guard by this sudden event. Cities were damaged from the quakes and separated from the lava rivers. Leroy's broken body was covered by the LCC. This place was the Lava Control Center, tasked with the sole purpose of reducing the lava spread and having some sort of control over the situation. Worst of all, Voldir became even more aware of the ominous presence. He noticed it was heading south, but he couldn't exactly tell what was happening. The force was abstract and hard to perceive exactly where or what it was doing. Whatever it was, though, it was certainly powerful, and the people of the island couldn't feel its presence. The volcano's lava was thankfully cooled by the sea surrounding the island, but this caused the island to become separated. As if the landmass was not already lackluster from the Leroy and Voldir fight, the island was now becoming more similar to islets. One year passed, and the people used the condition of the island to their advantage. With the lava splitting the island, there were tons of beaches and islets now. Hotels, seaside resorts, and many other entertainment-based structures were now everywhere on the islets. The LCC was removed and scrapped for parts to create one of these locations, known as the New Waterworks Water Park, built on the northern section of the island. Leroy's body was left sunken below the water. The people noticed that Voldir has been strangely hiding from them. The people start construction on what they consider to be the most intensive project they have had yet. They are constructing a dam to surround the entire island. They have figured that the space was already running low on these small islets, and that expansion would be impossible if they didn't do anything about it. 4 years passed and the dam was finished. All they needed to do was to start draining the water inside the walls of it to uncover what lies underneath. Four years passed after the dam was constructed. Once the underneath had been revealed, the people needed to grow back plant life from what was underwater. They cleared areas to fly planes specifically to dump fertilizer over the underneath. Within just a few months, grass and plant life spread about, except for the underneath side of the moon, which was unable to be fertilized. The water park was abandoned to create a much larger one next to it. The volcano has subsided completely. The scientists speculate that it wouldn't be a problem for another estimated 660 years. The southern dead grasslands was killed due to past experimentations from the fertilizer in order to perfect it for the rest of the map. Voldir's castle ruins were revealed, along with Leroy's body, both of which were immensely corroded. Abruptly, the ominous force Voldir was concerned about started to pulse. The energy was enough to even have the people of the island see it. It was right above where the Scarlet Pyramid project was abandoned, specifically above the pyramid itself. The force shoots down into the pyramid, disappearing completely. A moment passes. Then, the pyramid twitches and sparks red energy around its corners. The people of the island go to investigate, sending helicopters and other vehicles to the pyramid. The pyramid shakes violently and then suddenly outbursts. An energetic shockwave crashes through the entire island, taking helicopters down with it. The power on the island flickers. The pyramid sends another shockwave of energy. The power flickers more. People get injured and run for their lives, but it might not matter. Finally, the last and largest shockwave booms through the air. Some buildings get knocked over, but all of them lose power. The energy from the Scarlet Pyramid was so intense, the land around it converted into a similar red color. A flash of red light shines out of the pyramid. When it subsided, the pyramid was gone. The Scarlet Pyramid wasn't what it used to be. It was now possessed by the ominous force, thus renamed to be Crimson. Although the island was now out of power, the people had an even bigger problem, the disappearance of Crimson. While the search for Crimson continues, the people of the island need to find a way to bring back the power. The people noticed there were crystals in the underneath. These crystals show to be remnant of the meteors that caused the biozones. They harvest the biocrystals for electricity. Factories and facilities were built. "14 structures called lightning towers were placed around the map. The purpose was to transport the immense energy from the biocrystals around the map, restoring power back to the people. After their construction, the Scarlet Zone started to return to normal. Scientists speculate that the energy from Crimson's shockwaves overloaded these areas with this energy, killing them and turning them into a similar red color to Crimson. The lightning towers were designed to expel some of their energy around, reducing the Scarlet Zones because of the biocrystal's life energy. The water park in the northwestern part of the island was bought off and shut down to be excavated for resources to be used for the lightning towers. The northern caverns collapsed and the ruins from the northeastern dark grasslands were cleaned up. Suddenly, after searching and searching, Crimson appeared. After reluctantly chasing Crimson for a week, he was finally captured and contained. An extremely high security and confined facility was created to store and isolate Crimson to study. One year passes since the capture of Crimson, and the Scarlet Zones are almost entirely reduced. The people celebrate the 1-year anniversary of Crimson's capture. The studies on Crimson continue. Signs show that his energy signs were unknown, like he had found a way to hide them somehow. The scientists were concerned, but determined to find out the true nature of Crimson. After peace for so long, Voldir comes back from hiding. He said he was theorizing and speculating about the correlation between the Scarlet Pyramid and the ominous force that possessed it. Voldir had figured it out. The ominous force must have been the remaining soul of Leroy. His physical form may have perished, but his undying urge to live never did. He must have gone to possess the Scarlet Pyramid in an attempt to redeem himself. Crimson was Leroy. Leroy was Crimson. It had to be the answer. Suddenly, the ground shook. The prison containing Crimson in the center of the island was destroyed. Floating above was Crimson. Voldir was scared. He couldn't fight against it. There was too much energy. A purple beacon of energy beamed out of the base and the tip of Crimson. Something bad was happening. All power on the island flickered. Crimson had been slowly absorbing the energy from the prison he was stuck in, eventually collecting enough to be able to initiate his plan. Slowly, the purple energy would form a spherical field covering over the island, essentially trapping the island in a purple energy sphere. Scientists were desperately scavenging to find answers, and never found one. The fight between Leroy and Voldir may have never actually ended. Leroy possessed the only object capable of interdimensional travel for a reason, but where he was taking them was completely unknown. All that was clear was that Leroy wasn't letting Voldir win so easily. Time was running out. The people on the island weren't sure if they could possibly win, but they still tried. In a desperate attempt to stop Crimson, the dam the people took years to complete was rigged with explosives. The results from detonating it would almost surely kill everyone, but at least it gave them a chance of stopping Crimson. Everyone braced themselves, knowing that this was the end for them. The explosives were detonated. Consecutive explosions blew around the dam. The dam collapsed, sending a wall of water pummeling through. The tsunami of water caved closer and closer to the island. The end was here. Crimson knew what was happening. They were fighting back. He didn't have any more time to waste. In a moment's notice, Crimson used the rest of his energy in him to finish the dimension shifting process, knowing well that it would kill him in the process. The tsunami started to get closer and closer by the second. Everyone had accepted their death. Crimson's beacons of energy charged stronger and stronger. The purple field of energy became even more concentrated by the moment. The energy became so concentrated that the people lost sight of the tsunami outside the field. Just as the tsunami was about to crash into the island, the field went completely opaque with energy. The people waited for the tsunami to crash through and stop Crimson. Yet nothing happened. It was completely quiet. They looked at where Crimson was. He was powerless and dead. This time, no ominous energy was left over. The land they stood on, or what was left of it, seemed to be free-floating inside the massive energy field that Crimson created. Did Crimson actually win? Was shifting to this unknown dimension so vital to his motives that he was willing to sacrifice his own life for it? The people looked around what was left of their home. All these years of work and effort, wasted, all of it, completely abandoned. What has been done is finished. There was nothing the people of the island could do about it. Crimson had succeeded in his plan. The people in Volder were transported to an unknown location in an unknown universe. The world as they knew it was over. Scientists studied the environment, specifically where exactly they were, but there was no answer. It seemed that they were in a completely new realm, a place between time and space, only to exist within the boundaries of Crimson's purple field. Volder was quiet. He had just failed his own universe, the place he dedicated himself to protect for all eternity, just to be taken away. The Treq universe was godless now, and Volder believes it is him to blame for this. He travels near to where Crimson was floating, sat on the ledge overlooking Crimson, and silently waited. Suddenly, there was an intense flash of light.